Oh my gosh. Welcome, y'all, to another episode of Navigating Mindfulness, where we get to have juicy conversations about how we like to apply personal growth principles to all aspects of our life. Of course, life is always tricky. There's always things that'll come up. There's always new opportunities for growth. However, it's not about the actual event. It's about how you move through it. And today we have an amazing guest that has move through a lot of these different transitions in multiple areas of her life. So we're going to get into all of that. Of course, my name is Cheryl Sutherland, and I'm on theme because we're here with like an amazing bikini mom. So I'm in my workout gear today. Oh, looking cute, popping abs. Anyway, and then I'm also the founder of Please Notes Goods, Resume Strategies. I do a lot of things. Find me on the internet because I'm in love with personal growth. Of course, with me, I have our lovely co-host and my main squeeze, I guess, you're my squeeze now, just in case you were wondering. Liza McHale, she is a multipreneur, as I'm going to call you now, and one of my favorite people in the world. Thank you all for being here. Liza, how are you doing today? What's happening?
I am awesome. Another best day ever partner, fellow goddess, and also my squeeze, Cheryl Sutherland. My name is Liza McHale. For those who don't know, my original brand was elays.com, and we're working on some other stuff. Navigating mindfulness is one of those things. I'm really excited to be here today, and we do have a fabulous guest that I know personally as well as professionally, and you are in for a treat today. So Cheryl is dressed up. I'm also in a t-shirt, ready to go.
This is my workout wear. I was all like, do I need to get changed? And I'm like, nope, I'm on brand, guys. I'm on brand.
Love it. So our guest, not waiting anymore, is May Rabano from Strong Bikini Mom. She has definitely done a lot of navigating through mindfulness while building her business and her brand. She transitioned from corporate Canada successfully into this brand, helping women. I'm going to let her talk about her stuff. May, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. So I worked for, I don't know if I could say, but I worked for Bell Canada for like, almost 17 years, which is a long time to be with a company. And long story short, I swore to myself at one point, it was like, man, we're having these babies, but they're going straight into daycare and I never get to see them. So I told my hubby and I was like, you know what? If they ever offer me something, I'm fucking out of there, right? So I'm all about the universe. And let's just say that I have no idea how Belle arranged this for me, and there was just a way out. And the way that it worked, it was just like, oh my God, whatever I say happens. So I just left. It was very natural for me to make the transition. I think the most frustrating part was it wasn't happening fast enough. So just to fill you guys in, so I left Bell to become a personal trainer. I know, like, what does that have to do with corporate sales? But I'm sorry, I fell into the passion of fitness because I had a personal, I was on a personal journey, and gosh, I don't even know where to start there, Lisa. Like, you know about my story. It started off with so much frustration, then a big aha moment, and now I'm just doing it full time because I can't stop. Because I figured out like this crazy secret that nobody knows, and it's like, oh my God. So maybe let's talk about. Maybe I'll let you guys know about what made me want to make this jump, because okay, I don't want to scare you guys, but I am a core specialist who specializes in Diastasis Recti. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it affects women after multiple pregnancies. And it happened to me. So what it is when your abdominal muscles split during pregnancy, which is supposed to happen. So this isn't caused by pregnancy. It's caused by having weak tissue. After the pregnancies, if you don't take care of your core immediately afterwards, it will come back. Like Mother Nature's pretty good. She'll get it back to there. But then if you have another one, she'll get it back to there. And then if you have another one, oh my God, it just goes. So my poor belly, I'm only 5 feet tall. My poor belly went out as far as 6 fingers wide. That's how we measure diastasis recti in my world. We also measured the depth. So it was like this wide from rib down to pelvis. And if you see my husband in the background, for those of you that can't see the photo, I have a wedding picture behind me, but my husband's 6 feet tall and I'm like 5 feet tall. So these kids were ginormous. And I was like praying for a C-section because I knew I wasn't going to be able to pop them up. But no, my OB guy's like, no, girl, breathe in and out. You'll get her out. Next thing you know, I got her out. And all that pressure on my vajayjay like had an effect on the diastasis recti. And then I didn't know. So second, I got pregnant again. And next baby pops out. Of course, ginormous. And same thing happened, except this time, because of the diastasis recti, she came out a little bit like easier because like all the muscles weren't tight anymore. And then I said, I can do this 8 more times. It's like, that's not so hard. So I popped out a third one thinking, oh my God, this is fun. I popped out a third one and her birth was kind of in between the other two. But what I didn't realize was going on was the underlying muscles were getting weaker and weaker with each pregnancy. And when it came time to trying to get back into shape, so don't get me wrong, I've kind of been health and fitness nut like throughout my life, but not to the degree that I'm doing it right now. So I did make an attempt to get back into shape after each baby, but I was doing all the wrong things and I was making this diastasis recti worse. I'm a certified personal trainer who specializes in core dysfunction.
Okay, and so it sounds like your target is mothers.
Moms that have had 2 or more kids.
2 or more kids, and then it sounds like you sort of stumbled into this organically and you found your way into it.
Exactly.
So this is a reason why I wanted to bring her on, because I think it's been organic. There's a lot of navigating that she needed to do from a mindful perspective, knowing to leave Belle, knowing to step out on her own. So you mentioned the family, you mentioned the kids, and our topic today is really about relationships. So during this transition of having the babies, it sounds like you and John, or your hubby as you refer to him, had conversations. Now that, so were your children already born when you decided to step out on your own, or all 3 of them were already born? Like, how did that impact, and how long have you been on your own? You were at Belle for 17 years. How long have you now effectively been doing Strong Bikini Mommy?
So in between Belle, I actually worked at the gym to gain more hands-on experience. So I was only there for 2-3 years, not even. And then now, since then, I have gone on my own, and I think I'm coming up to my, oh my God, it's almost 4 years in January.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm only shocked because like literally when I started, I've been busting my ass working 60, 70-hour weeks because I want to do it for myself. And this was the first month I actually like lifted my head and I was like, oh my God, it's oh my God, how old are you now, Rachel? Like, let's just say I busted my ass off for the last 4 years, and it's only now that I've been able to like take a deep breath and relax. So if you're asking, like, yeah, so the kids were all, at the time I left, my eldest was, let's say 10, 7, and 4. So
And did it
not,
change your relationship with them, moving from Bell and then to the gym? Like, how did
yeah.
that impact like at home?
Well, my kids actually, they tell me years later, and it was funny because my eldest wrote me like little letters. And she'd be like, Mommy, I'm so grateful that you quit your job for me. I love having you home. I love that you could pick me up from school. I know sometimes it's hard for you when you're trying to talk to clients and I'm sitting on your lap, but I love you. And like, so like, I mean, like, how could you not do that for them, right? I was just at the point where I was like, what's the point of having the kids if you don't get to see them?
Right.
Right. And like, I'm not about, I mean, growing up, yeah, I get it. It was harder with my generation because like your parents are like, my parents were first generation immigrants here, right? So it was normal for both parents to work and for you to be left with your grandmother. But like when it came to my time, I don't know if it's just my childhood or missing my mom growing up and seeing my parents being so busy, but I was like, that's not happening when I have kids.
How's your relationship? Are your parents still alive? Like, although I know May, I
Yeah.
don't know, are your parents still around? And
Yeah.
again, first generation immigrant parents, Cheryl, I don't know what your makeup is for your family. But maybe that's like a quick thing that we can just cover. How were your parents in by way of support or opinion of doing something that was non-traditional? So for me, my mother had already passed. My father was completely against it. He wanted me to work at the government like him and my 2 brothers. So stepping out on my own was definitely not, I don't think any of my other cousins are even entrepreneurs. What about you, Cheryl?
It's interesting because very similar to you being a first generation Canadian, my parents were very focused on like making sure that things were taken care of. So my dad was always the one that was like, do the things even if you hate it. And like he wanted me to be a nurse. He would only pay for my college if I became a nurse. And I was like, no, like, and I was very empathic at that time and I didn't really know how to control it. And I'm like, I know that if I'm like touching these people and being around like negative people, I'm all like, that's gonna come home with me. I'm not gonna be able to do that. And then my mom, on the other hand, was always she was very like non-attached to anything that I did. And I think that she shared with me later on that she always knew that I was going to be okay. So then she just didn't really ever have any impact in regards to my career and was always very clear that no matter what I did, that I was going to be okay. So that was a little bit different. However, one thing that I will say is that both of my parents, they knew they needed to go to the next level. So my dad, actually, it's so funny. They're both from the same island. My dad left when he was, before my mom did, and they didn't know each other there, even though it's a teeny tiny island. So my dad left, went to England, got like, he was part of that whole Windrush situation, went to school, started his carpentry business, and then he ended up like moving to Montreal. And then my mom went from St. Vincent to Curacao, and then from Curacao to Montreal. They met in Montreal, got married, and then ended up moving to Calgary and having kids. So it's been very interesting, but they always knew like, what is the next step? What is the next step? And then also I think that one thing that's always prioritized is like, you have to hold on to this thing that you have. And then, once you get something else, then you can let it go, right? Like more like a monkey bar situation versus those that are more entrepreneurial tend to just let go of things and just take that leap. Now, I think that's very interesting that, that your kids were so happy to just have you home and then have you in that space. And I think, just even having those different conversations of like, I'm not going to work today, or like work today, I'm working from home, or I'm working from the gym. Did your kids or your partner have to change the way that they saw you, or did you have to, reiterate like, this is important to me. Like, I'm doing this right now, even though it's not like regular traditional work. This is how you need to see that. Did you ever have to have those conversations with them?
Actually, I asked them when I was deciding. So I know, why would you ask a little kid? But it was important for me to know that they would be okay with it, right? So it's funny. I was like, so one of the conversations with my older one, because my older one had the experience of having two employed parents that were kicking ass. So this chick knew what it was like to have anything she wanted. And so I talked to her. I was like, Rachel, if mommy does this, we're going to have to sacrifice a few things. Are you okay with that? And she's like, are you going to be home? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, that's all I want, mommy. Oh my God, just stop.
That's so cute. That's so cute.
And that was it. And I was like, okay, my kid's on board. My husband's going to be on board. As long as my kid's on board, I'm fine. And that was it. Because I was like, sometimes you worry. It's like, I'm going to take them out of security to being unsecure financially. Is this going to be worth it? And at the end of the day, my kids don't even notice. They don't notice the difference between what we were giving them when we hadn't a ton of money and when I made the sacrifice to cut back on a lot of stuff. They honestly didn't care. They just want you there to love them.
Yeah. And it's interesting that a couple of things that you said. I love the fact that you actually asked your kids, hey, this is what this is going to look like. Is that okay? And I feel like having that buy-in really plays into that whole like family dynamic. I know for myself, like there was very few times where my parents would be like having those conversations, asking us things instead of just making decisions about this is what you're going to do and that's what it is. And I think that's so beautiful. And I love the fact that you actually sold yourself this new lifestyle to the kids of this is going to be the difference. There's going to be less material goods. However, I have this level of quality time that I'm able to give you. And it really comes down to love languages. So do you feel like having that extra buy-in from your kids is really what, and of course your husband, has really what supported you in continuing to go this far, especially when, things get difficult?
Oh, absolutely. And the funny thing was my daughter, like the baby, not so much, but my 10-year-old and my 7-year-old believed in me, and they said, don't worry, mommy, we know it's only temporary. Like for them to be that young and have so much faith in what their mom can do, like it's almost like I can't fail, right? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, no, really, I'm doing what I'm doing because of my family. Seriously.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, are there any other relationships? So the parents, I didn't even think about asking you before. Are there any other key significant relationships or communication that you had in relationships to prepare the move, or even the move from Belle to the gym from going to home? Like that was another transition that I completely forgot about. Mm-hmm. So in each of these steps, as you're navigating your way through building your business, any other key relationships that you had to be mindful of?
Oh my God, my husband seriously lets me do whatever the fuck I want. I don't know if I'm that.
I love that.
Seriously, I don't know how I got that blessed. I swear to God, like I'm very bossy, and sometimes I worry about bossing him around too much. And he's very kind of low key, but then he also knew that marrying me, I was like this high-strung, driven chick that was just going to do whatever she wanted anyway. And he's always been supportive, like always. Like I remember I was telling you guys that he was in the friend zone. So I'm going out with I had another boyfriend. He's like there for support. And he's telling me, yeah, you should leave him. He's an asshole. Okay, I'll do whatever you want. You're a good friend of mine, not knowing.
He was waiting in the wings, plotting,
Exactly.
plotting it, plotting it.
Biased advice.
Exactly.
Biased advice. That's what I call that.
Exactly. So then, yeah. And okay, so here's the thing. He was only in the friend zone because at the time I had this stupid thought like, I'm only 5 feet tall. I won't look good with anybody if they're taller than 5'7".
That's hilarious.
And so my husband's like, seriously? You put me in the friend zone because I was taller? And I was like, well, don't ask. But me and my best friend in grade 9 at the time decided who we were gonna screen for guys in the school, what they were gonna look like, what my children needed in terms of bone structure, eyelashes, brains, even fingernail beds. My husband can be a hand model. Like that's how, like we had nothing to do in high school, me and my best friend.
I think it's so funny that you have this idea of what you wanted in your relationship, and then who ended up being your ideal partner was ever so slightly off. It's interesting. I was actually reading Calling in the One again, and one of the things that she was saying was that her partner, she overlooked time and time again, a friend zone situation because he was Black, and she had been told when she was younger, and if I'm not mistaken, she's either white passing or Jewish, where it was just like, as long as you don't bring home a Black guy, I'm fine. Like you could date anyone, just don't date a Black guy. And then finally, when she was able to notice that thought process, release it, and then she was all like, this is the person that I've been looking for this whole time. Now, in regards to the relationship, and I want to touch on this, the relationship with your parents. So I know as an entrepreneur, and with having all this stuff in the background, I just didn't tell my mom when I did things. I just did them. And then when they ended up working out well, I'm like, yeah, I did this. She's like, what? I'm like, because there's nothing to worry about, where, I know that in their heads that safety and security is key, and that's super making sure that I'm okay. So for you, how did you tell your parents, hey, I'm quitting my job at Bell that has all these benefits, that, has this level of security that, I could retire from to start my own business?
Well, yeah, that's what it was. So my parents are like, they're all about safety and security and being very cautious, right? But it was like, Mom, I'm gonna leave Bell. Are you crazy? I should use a Filipino accent. Are you crazy? What about the bills? Oh my God, what if they're gonna cut off your electricity? May, you need to at least you need to have the have at least, why don't you just stay there, become a secretary, maybe something a little bit lower, and just make sure the bills are paid. And I was like, Ma, they're gonna give me my pension. Oh, okay, well then go for it. And I told her, she's like, I go, are you for real? She goes, how much of your pension? I go, the whole thing. I just gotta wait. I gotta worry about 42 to 65. I go, can I have fun with this? And she's like, oh, so your pension will be there? Yeah. Oh, and your CPP? Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, then go for it. You got make sure John's employed. So for them, as long as one of us was employed and not the two of us were gonna go jump ship, they were fine. Yeah,
that's hilarious. So I want to talk about how you started the business. Like when you were like, you know what, this is who I'm gonna be. I think I'm really interested in this. I'm really passionate about this. What were those first steps that you took in order to transition from being a full-time employee to becoming an entrepreneur? Like, how did you get your first clients? Did you some people they'll go ahead and they'll be like, oh, I have to create a website, and then I have to create cards, and then I have to start advertising. Like, what was the way that you decided that you were going to launch your business? And then how did you start bringing in clients?
Okay, so all of that was also organic. I didn't know I was going to be doing this. When I became a trainer, so I became a trainer by accident. Thank you, universe. At the gym I was working at, at the gym I was training at the time, they saw me go through the process of training to do a bikini competition. And then one day, someone just asked me, it's like, do you want to be a trainer here? And I was like, what? I'm like, 43 years old. Isn't that like too old to be a trainer? Like, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like way too late for me to be a trainer. She goes, are you crazy? If you competed, you know your shit, you'll be fine. You just gotta go get certified. As the fitness manager to manage the trainers because I had corporate experience. So I had a bit more responsibility, and I was able to quickly apply the skills I had learned from Belle into growing the PT department at that specific gym. So I grew that business from like 2 or 3 dinky trainers to like a team of 10 by the time I left. And then about a year after I became a trainer, almost 2 years after I became a trainer, this core certification was recommended to me. And the funny thing was I wanted to be a bikini prep coach. So nothing to do with, I just wanted to stick with what I knew. So I was busy trying to learn everything I can about becoming a bikini prep coach. Then I took this certification. Again, remember, I knew I had this condition, but I didn't know what it was at the time, right? So I took the certification, and the instructor is going on, and I thought the certification was literally a pre and postnatal course to learn how to modify exercises for pregnant women. So she starts talking about diastasis recti, and she goes, yeah, it's a gap in your stomach. It goes like this, exactly what I just described. And I looked at her, I was like, and then she goes, yes, and it can be healed through exercise. No word of a lie, I was like, fuck me. Are you serious? Because I was told you couldn't fix it, and I had to live with it, and it was only surgery. So then, as embarrassing as it was, I was like, I have that. Oh my God, I have that. Oh my God, yeah, I'm pissing too. Like, so they're like, oh my God, we have a live specimen in the class. So May lies down and everyone's sticking their fingers in my belly. And I'm like, oh. They're like, we got a live one here. They're like, oh, it's not fixed yet, May. You thought it was fixed. It's still 3 fingers wide. So as funny as that sounds, like, it like hit me because I was like, fuck, this shit's still not fixed. Like, what the fuck am I gonna have to do to fix this shit, right? So then, yeah, let's just say I got so emotional coming out of that course. And at first I was like angry, furious more like, and I was like, I talked to the mentor, the women that were leading the course, and I was like, you know what? This is pure bullshit. Like, where were you guys when I was at the hospital? Like, you guys should be at the hospital holding these women's hand immediately after birth, telling them you can start with this exercise and you can wear this support band. And you guys should be educating these women. Because, like, I'm telling you right now, I went through like 10 years of mental torment trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing wrong, that this stupid belly's not coming off. So I'm going from like this reasonably cute girl pre-pregnancy to like, what the fuck? Why do I always look pregnant? Why am I constantly looking for clothes to hide this stupid belly? Why am I in constant food deprivation and like killing myself at a boot camp? And then this course comes up. So like, that's why I'm passionate. Like, because me living with it for 10 years, like this course, yeah, it existed, but I didn't hear about it until I took the course. So now, like, I'm so passionate about just getting that message out. And I mean, that's how I organically got into what I do now.
Yeah, and I love the evolution of it. It was just like following like the next natural step. Like, you had an opportunity and you listened to your body and you kept attempting to do different things. And then finally it took you to this place where you were able to support people with something that you were so passionate about, that really affected you personally, and that now you like know the benefits of and can support other people. So now that you have gotten to this, like, you know, this training and you're like, we can fix this. How did you go about getting your first couple of clients?
Oh gosh, so I ran, okay, so before I touched anybody, I was like, I swear to God, these girls are full of shit. I'm gonna test it on me first and see if it actually does work, right? Because I, like, the whole time I was in the course, I was like in like awe, and I thought they were literally, it was just a scam, right? I'm like, there's no possible way, like my gap's huge.
So
So
how long
then
was the course? How
the
long was your
course,
course?
it was over, I had, no, sorry, it was a one of those typical online courses, but there was I think it was over a weekend. We had to come in and do in-person mentoring, and they were making sure that we knew how to do the assessments properly and the exercises correctly.
And then how long did you test it for?
Until I fixed myself. So get this, I'm suffering with it for 10 years. I fixed my urinary incontinence in like 5 weeks.
Wow. And then how long did it take you to close the gap?
Okay, so I got a little bit picky. In 6 weeks, yeah, I got it down to where they say is clinically okay. So meaning that if you go to a pelvic floor physiotherapist, if you get it down to 1.5 to 2 fingers wide, they're technically okay with that. But of course, I'm a little bit obsessed. So I made sure that I learned and I honed my skill to get like all of it top to bottom, because the hardest part is navel down. And yeah, so I can't really say when that happened, but because I've just been training, and right now it's shut. Like,
right. So how long did it, sorry about your situation, but I'm trying to figure out like how long did it take for you? Like, when did you get your first official client in this new business that you're doing? After taking the course?
Oh, like the day after. So I did the in person, right?
Yeah.
And passed the exam. The next day, I'm talking like a headless chicken. So the next consult that came into my office, I was like, they're like, the front desk knew that if it was a mom, send her to me, not the other trainers, because I knew I just got certified for this. So literally the Monday after, that was it.
So after you took the class or after you fixed yourself?
The Monday after I took the class.
Okay.
I started talking to, I nailed a client.
Nice.
I was fixing myself in the meantime.
Got it.
Right? So applying what I learned, and through repetition over 5 weeks, that's when I got my results.
Nice.
Right?
And then what did it look like when you transitioned from the gym to on your own?
Okay, so when I left the corporate gym, let's just say I went through burnout. I went through full-on burnout, because I was pretty much running my job the way I would run my own company. And I put my heart and soul into the corporate gym and helping its members. And I left because I burnt out, and behind the scenes, I didn't have alignment with the owner. He couldn't give two shits if I was, because I wanted to specialize and have a camp. And I was telling him how, if you're running women's clubs, you need to certify all the trainers to have this. And there was no alignment there, so I left. And it was the hardest fucking thing. It was like I physically felt it, and mentally. Like for 6 months, I was kind of like in limbo, trying to heal, because at that time, it's like all the negative beliefs start attacking you, and you really don't know if you can do this.
Right.
So yeah, I reached out, got a ton of the support I needed, and yeah.
And you stepped out on your own. Was it difficult to transition? I want to touch on the relationship with oneself also, like being aware of that. Cheryl, I know you and I have talked off podcast about the different things that we have to do to keep our energy vibration at a certain level. The self-talk that happens, we're very protective of our space, what we allow in our space, what we allow in our minds. Let's just have a quick, because we're coming up to close to the end of the podcast, and I really want to touch on relationship with self
Okay.
and how that, I guess the next best step or whatever in relationship to self. Cheryl, what do you have to contribute to that? Not
In
a great question.
relationship, I was all like, what are we going? Okay, so
Well, I mean,
in relationship with self, how do I
Yeah.
keep myself feeling well or keep my vibration high?
Keep your vibration high when you might be annoyed, burnt out, tired,
Yeah. So
or
I think
you're
that
hitting a wall. Sorry about the clap.
yeah, no, at least it's that clap and not the other. Anyway, so the thing that I'm super proud of about myself is that like I continually check in with myself and I notice if I'm not feeling where I want to be. And I've said it on previous episodes, I always keep the Abraham Hicks emotional scale behind my computer. And so I'm like, okay, where am I at? So like even before we started recording today, I'm like, where am I at? And then is this where I want to be? So what do I need to do in order to be in that place? Now, especially in the last couple months with the business, things have been accelerated. Like I brought on interns, like I'm doing all these interviews, I'm doing all these speaking events, and then also like building out new products, and then just attempting to keep up with everything, making sure that I'm allowing everything to come in, and that also that I'm not allowing myself to fall back into old patterns of overwork. Now, I noticed that even right now, like in the last couple of weeks, things have been accelerated. I've been putting out too much energy. I've loosened my boundaries around things that I'm doing. And I have to be like, is this temporary or is this ongoing? Now, if it's temporary, like let's say, for example, I'm in the middle of recording my 7-week course, Clear and Confident. I know that that's gonna, like, I've been working weekends for the last however long, right? And with that, I'm like, there's an end date. And so I'm okay with that happening and then being very clear about when that's done. This is what we're going to do, like different structures that we're going to put in place. Now, if it's something that is continually going on and it's just like, there's no end date, there's nothing that you could do to adjust it, then that's when you're just having to press stop and say, is this what I want? And if this is not what I want, then what am I going to do to change it? Because I'm not going to keep playing this tape anymore. So, whether it's, having different boundaries, whether it's, asking for support, bringing on interns, bringing on a virtual assistant, offloading some of the design work that I'm doing, whatever that needs to look like. I know at that point in time that how I feel is the most important thing. And then it is my priority to make sure that I'm making adjustments as I go. And of course, everybody's got different things. Like, you can have like sticky notes everywhere. You can have mirror decals everywhere with positive, messages. However, I think that's the most important thing is like to continually check in with yourself and see how you're doing at all times of the day.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. I recently started being more mindful about that. So when I transitioned from Good Life to On My Own, I was more about paying attention and changing my thought process on the limiting beliefs. And then as I grew as an entrepreneur, I learned, specifically over the last year more so, it was just as important to release that energy from your body. So lately what I've been doing is I practice like morning and evening stress management and use the tools that my psychotherapist gave me and my Reiki girl gave me. And it's like a game changer. It's like waking up with no pain, no headaches, no stress, and you wake up with a smile, right? And I do remember like spending the last 50 years like chasing something and then not even know what I'm like, still chasing and not knowing what I'm chasing. Whereas right now, since I've been practicing daily stress management through meditation and physical, like training is now not just about looking good. Training's about me releasing energy. Like I just find I have way more focus. And to be honest with you, it's not about hustling. It's about slowing down and letting the universe kind of take over.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Working in alignment instead
Yeah.
of being on that struggle bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to add to, I really love what Cheryl said in terms of being aware of where you are. Like my cycle is really becoming aware, labeling it. So identifying where it is, experiencing it fully, whatever that might look like, and then letting it go, right? That releasing. And so, and to your point, May, the morning and the night, those are my anchors. Like if I do the morning and I do the night, I can almost flex with anything that happens during the day. Even if I get slightly frustrated or I get immediately angered by something that is like something that I haven't dealt with yet, I'm way better today than I was yesterday because of the compound interest of the practice of the morning and the night. And so
it's amazing, eh?
It is. And I love, I'm going to tie this up really quick. That self-care in the relationship with yourself or the relationship with self, or I don't know, Cheryl, I can't remember what you're saying. Really, it mirrors itself in everything else that we're doing with all of the other relationships. And so I'm so grateful that you had time to join us today and talk about how you started Strong Bikini Mommy and just like how you are so super passionate about it. And we got a lot of really good tips about, you know, Cheryl, if you ever have those two babies, you know who to call. You know, if you ever go down that road. Yeah, just really grateful that you took the time, because your relationships are really full between your husband, the children, your family, and yourself. And that transition, as somebody who has worked with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs who have done that transition, it's not uncommon, the things that you have to think about to get to where you are today. So congratulations on your brand, and I appreciate all the work that you do, and definitely want to talk to you offline about getting this information to new moms at the hospital level. That's when you said that, I was like, oh, definitely want to get there.
Right?
Yes, 100%. Is there anything before we sign off that you want to leave our audience, again, navigating mindfulness while building business?
Yeah. Honestly, you can get whatever the fuck you want out of life. Just go for it. There's nothing. You have a choice. There's nothing you can't get. Like freaking, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you so much. I love it.
Thank you so much.
This is so much fun. I got new besties. I'm going to call you, Cheryl.
Holla. Dollars will make them holla. Awesome. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we had the glorious Coach May, my partner in crime, Ms. Liza McHale, just out here doing all the things. And I'm hoping that by listening to this episode, you will only not only notice that there's a lot of obstacles that we run into that we've made in our own minds, whether it's the people that we decide to date, that next level in the career, or even switching careers entirely. And the most important thing is that if there is a passion, if there's a spark, if there's curiosity inside of you, to follow that, because that is what will take you in that next level of your career, in that next level of your life, and help evolve you. And I know, of course, for May, her stepping out and doing what she loved, doing what she was interested in, following that level of curiosity has not only allowed her to build a business that she loves, and she's also fortified relationships in such a delicious way. The relationship with herself and knowing that she is capable of doing the things that she desires, the relationships with her kids where they feel loved and then also respected, and that they have their mom. And then of course her relationship with her partner that has been there, shown up and chosen into supporting her, because he wants the best for her. So with that, my name is Cheryl Sutherland. Boop. Thank you so much for joining us for Navigating Mindfulness. And we'll be back next week with another amazing conversation about how we can apply these personal growth principles to all areas of our lives. Mwah!